Hello, hi would be lifesavers. This is your KK sir. In this session, we are going to discuss some of the previous questions which were asked from the particular topic, that is pregnancy and embryonic development. From particularly this topic, some of the questions were asked directly and few of them are somewhat logically asked, right? Without late, we just jump into our session. Let us see the first question. Right here, find the correct statements. Here, 4 statements are given here, 4 or 5 statements. 3 are here and 2 are in the next lane, next column. We'll see one by one. What are the statements given here? In human pregnancy, the major organ systems are formed at the end of 12 weeks. So, 12 weeks, that means end of the trimester, first trimester. So, first trimester means that is end of 3rd month. Generally, at the end of 3rd month, all the limbs and all the organ systems are developed. So, along with this one of the major point has been given in your textbook, that is external genitalia also formed at the end of first trimester, that is end of 12 weeks. So, all the organ system and external genitalia also formed. External genitalia also formed in this one, right? So that this is the right statement. In human pregnancy, the major organ systems are formed at the end of 8 weeks. Already here the point has been given. So this could be the wrong or this could be the wrong. One must be wrong because all the organ systems are formed at the end of 12 weeks here. In the first statement, at the end of 12 weeks, all the organ systems are formed in the embryo. But in the second statement, all the organ systems are formed at the end of 8th week, 8 weeks. Here the point is given like this. So now the second statement is wrong statement because this is the right statement. Ultimately, if it is right, then ultimately it is wrong statement only. And let us see the third one. Now up to here, the first statement only the right statement. And in human pregnancy, heart is formed after 1 month of gestation. Yes, this is also right statement, this is also right statement. So after 1 month, the heart is formed. And the first sign of embryo is heart sound. So it can be heard by the stethoscope. Now this statement also right. When you are reading this statement, you must recall that the first sign of the embryo is sound of the heart. Mind it. Okay, this one also right. Now A and C are right till now. And here are the 2 more statements. In human pregnancy, limbs and digits develop by the end of the 2nd month. This is also right statement. Exactly, particularly specific, this point has been given in your NCERT textbook. Yes, at the end of the 2nd month, the limbs and its digits are developed, right? In human pregnancy, the appearance of the hair is usually observed in the 5th month. This is also right statement. So, along with this point, one more point has been given. We can observe the first movement also. We can observe first movement of the embryo during the 5th month. During the 5th month, generally the hair is developed on the head, right? As well as the first movement of the embryo also we can observe during the 5th month. Mind it. Remember this point, right? This is also right point. Now the answer is B, only the incorrect statement among these 5 statements. Now we can say that A, C, D and E are E. So these 4 statements are right regarding the pregnancy or embryonic development, right? And we'll switch on to the next one. Which of the following secrets the hormones relaxing during the latter phase of the pregnancy? We were already discussed in the last previous question discussion. So that is the relaxin hormone, which is secreted by, actually relaxin hormone, regarding this hormone no information is present in our textbook. But the relaxin is the hormone which is secreted by the ovaries. So ovaries nothing but here already we discussed that after releasing of the ovum, the Graafian follicle is called as corpus luteum. This corpus luteum is going to secrete 2 kinds of hormones. One is progesterone, which is very essential for the implantation of embryo, and second one is relaxin. Relaxin also secreted by corpus luteum. If the corpus luteum is there in the option, then directly you can put the corpus luteum. If corpus luteum is not given in your options, you can put ovaries over there, right? Ovaries or else corpus luteum, you can say any of these two, right? So this relaxin hormone, generally it loosens the ligaments which are present in the pubic region. So pelvic bones are present now here. So in this pelvic bone, these pelvic bones are joined together with the help of the ligaments. These ligaments are going to be relaxed. So these ligaments are going to be relaxed or else loosened by this relaxin hormone, which is secreted by the corpus luteum. So this is very helpful for the growing baby. So and also at the time of delivery, at the time of parturition also, these ligament has to be loosed. So then only it's very easy to deliver the baby out, right? This is the relaxin hormone. This is secreted by the corpus luteum. Just now we are discussing. So corpus luteum. And here match the following columns and select the correct options here. Now the options in the column 1 and options in the column 2, let us see them. Placenta, let us check which of the option is matching to the placenta. Androgens, it is not matching. Human chorionic gonadotrophin, yes, human chorionic gonadotrophin HCG is secreted by placenta, as well as HPL, human placental lactogen, also secreted by placenta, as well as estrogen and progesterone. These are the different kinds of hormones which are secreted by the placenta at the time of pregnancy or gestational period. So you must remember the hormones which are secreted by the placenta. So these are all placental hormones, right? So the placenta, it acts as endocrine gland, so during the gestation period, right? So these are the different hormones. Now here the HCG has been given, so the placenta matches with the HCG. And zona pellucida, so zona pellucida is the outermost layer of the ovum, right? Outermost layer of the ovum. See here the layer of the ovum, it has been given. Now A is matching 2, right, and B is matching 3. And bulbourethral glands which are said to be, which are also called as Cowper's gland. The secretions of the Cowper glands, the secretions of the Cowper gland, they are going to neutralize the acidic nature in the urethral region. So that means urethral passage, as well as it's going to provide lubrication at the end of the penis. So that means at the glans penis, they are going to secrete some kind of lubricants from these bulbourethral glands at the time of copulation. So the penis is going to be lubricated. So now the bulbourethral glands, which is related to lubrication of the penis at the time of copulation. Now C is matching the fourth option in the column 2. And now lastly, we can see that Leydig cells, so which are going to release the androgens. So luteinizing hormone, which is being released from the pituitary, anterior pituitary, that particular luteinizing hormone, so they are going to act on the interstitial cells. So interstitial cells here, they are also be called as Leydig cells. From these Leydig cells, androgens are going to be secreted. So one of the chief androgens is the testosterone. So testosterone is responsible for spermatogenesis process as well as development of secondary sexual characters in case of the boys, right? So these are the right options. See here, you can see D, which is matching 1. So if there is any such option, you can put it directly. See here A2, only by seeing the A option also you can put here. A is 2 matching. Now the answer is this one. Now we'll check the next one. Just now we were discussing hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain the pregnancy are HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin hormone, HPL, human placental lactogen, and progesterone. So this is also right, but the prolactin is not secreted by the placenta. So now ultimately the option A is wrong because the prolactin has been given over there. So it is not. This combination of these hormones are not secreted by the placenta. And let's check other one. HCG, HPL, estrogens up to here, right? But the oxytocin is secreted by the pituitary gland, and the relaxin, which is secreted by the corpus luteum or else ovaries, we can say, right? So this is also not a right combination of the hormonal combination which are secreted from the placenta. This is also wrong option. Now we can see HCG, HPL, progesterones and estrogen. This combination, this entire combination is correct. So these are the hormones which are secreted by the placenta to maintain the pregnancy. So HCG, HPL, progesterone, estrogen. During the pregnancy, these hormones are present only during the pregnancy but not in the normal time. Right, only during the pregnancy we can observe three hormones. One is human chorionic gonadotrophin hormone, and second one is human placental lactogen, and third one is relaxin hormone. These three hormones are present at the time of pregnancy only, but not in the normal time. So keep it in the mind and remember carefully. Right, H is the progesterone, estrogen and glucocorticoids. It is not at all related to the placenta. So now the right option is HCG, HPL, progesterones and estrogens, right? And we'll switch to the next one. The amnion of mammalian embryo is derived from ectoderm and mesoderm, endoderm and mesoderm and trophoblast, ectoderm and endoderm. Here the option is, the right answer is ectoderm and mesoderm. From these two, the amnion is going to be developed. So the amnion is the innermost extra embryonic layer which wraps around the embryo. Inside, in between this amnion as well as between the embryo and amnion, there is a fluid which we call it as amniotic fluid. So which is providing like watery medium around the embryo, as it is going to protect from the external shocks, as well as it protects the embryo from desiccation. So it's going to be dried. If there is no amniotic fluid, so the embryo is going to be dried, so it's going to be dried and die. So ultimately, so it's going to provide a moist medium as well as it's going to protect from the external shock, right? So there is a main function of the amnion which is derived from the ectoderm and mesoderm, right? And again here, match the following question is here. Match the columns with the column 2. On column 1, let us see the column 1. So that is the mons pubis. We know that the external genitalia of the female. So the upper part of the external genitalia, that is known as mons pubis. So where the fatty bed is there, as well as the pubic hair also present on mons pubis. So this is which is related to female external genitalia. Now A matches the 3. And antrum, this is actually antrum. So antrum is a fluid space, a fluid filled cavity which we can observe in tertiary follicle at the time of development of these follicles in the ovaries. So primary follicle is going to be developed and as well as secondary follicle is going to be developed, right? So after that, this secondary follicle is going to turn as the tertiary follicle, which is remarkable and noticeable change we can find in the tertiary follicle. That is, a fluid filled cavity is going to be formed inside the granulosa. Okay, so that particular thing we can observe in tertiary follicle, or else we can say, so after maturation of this particular tertiary follicle, it turns as a Graafian follicle. Now the antrum we can find in the tertiary follicle, or else Graafian follicle we can see the antrum, right? Now the antrum which is related to Graafian follicle, here the Graafian follicle has been given. So now B is matching 4. Now the trophoectoderm. So this ultimately it's going to form embryo formation. So embryo formation and Nebenken, which is this word has not been given in our textbook. So Nebenken is the spiral arrangement of mitochondria. So mitochondria, they are arranged in a specific manner in the middle piece of the sperm. So that particular structure we call it as Nebenken. So this is the particular middle structure which is present in the sperm. Now we can see this C which is matching the 1, right, and D which is matching the 2, that is the sperm. So this is the right matching of these things. Okay, and let us check the next one. Several hormones like HCG, HPL, estrogen, progesterone produced by, just now, so we discussed this one. So these hormones are all produced by placenta only. So these are known as placental hormones, HCG, HPL, estrogen and progesterone, right? And ectopic pregnancy are referred to as, ectopic means the pregnancy or else implantation of embryo takes place other than uterus. Generally we can see this pregnancy generally occurs in the fallopian tubes. Sometimes the implantation takes place in the fallopian tube itself. Now then when the pregnant woman is scanned, so then we can know that the ectopic pregnancy. So this particular zygote when it is turning into the morula as well as the blastocyst, this blastocyst, it has to move into the uterus to implant in the uterus, but it doesn't move, and due to some reasons it may be stuck in the fallopian tube. There itself is going to become embryo. So if the embryo is formed other than the uterus, we can say it is ectopic pregnancy. So implantation of embryo at the site of other than uterus, this is the right option, and all these are the wrong options. Now we will check this 112th question. Select the correct option. Describe the gonadotrophin activity in a normal pregnant female. High level of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone stimulate the thickening of endometrium. So thickening of endometrium is not at all related to follicle stimulating and luteinizing hormone. So thickening of endometrium depending on the quantity of the progesterone only. If the progesterone is secreted, the endometrium is going to be developed more and more, and the endometrium is going to be thickened, right? So this is the wrong option. High level of follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone facilitate implantation of the embryo. Even implantation of embryo, the progesterone plays a vital role, but not follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. This is also not the correct option, right? High level of HCG stimulate the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone. Now this particular HCG, which is released by the placenta, it's going to stimulate the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone from the placenta. This is the right option. High level of HCG stimulates the thickening of the endometrium. So not at all. So endometrium, which is not at all related to HCG. So HCG, right? So progesterone is going to act on endometrium to develop more and more. So in order to facilitate the different facilities to the upcoming embryo or developing embryo. Now this is also a wrong option. Here this we can say this is the right option. High level of HCG human choriogonadotrophin stimulate the synthesis of estrogen and progesterone from the placenta. This is the right option. Now let us check the 113th question. Which one of the following is not the function of placenta? Which one of the following is not the function of the placenta? So we know that the placenta plays a very vital role. So in between the mother and embryo. So the placenta is going to secrete so many hormones like HCG, HPL and estrogen, progesterone. These hormones are secreted by the placenta, as well as the placenta, it's going to take the nutrients from the mother blood and it's going to supply to the embryo. So in the nutrition also it is useful, as well as it's going to take the oxygen from the mother and it's going to supply to the oxygen to the embryo, as well as the embryo generally it produces so many nitrogenous. These wastes are going to be picked up from the embryo, and these nitrogenous wastes they are going to expelled into the maternal blood or else mother's blood. So everything, whatever the happening in between the mother and the embryo, the placenta is going to play a vital role. Now we'll see the functions of the placenta here. Facilitate removal of carbon dioxide and waste material from the embryo. This is right option. Secretes oxytocin during the pasteurization. Not at all. This one is the right, because the oxytocin generally is secreted by the pituitary gland but not from the placenta. But the first reflection of the pasteurization, generally it is initiated by placenta as well as embryo. Embryo and placenta, these together initiate the pasteurization process. As a result, there are mild contractions in the uterus walls, which in turn it sends signals to the pituitary gland. So from there the oxytocin is going to be released more in more quantity. As a result, this oxytocin is going to act on the uterine wall in order to produce stronger and very strong contractions in the uterine wall, right? So that is actually process, neuroendocrine reflex, pasteurization process. Now the placenta is going to secrete the oxytocin during the pasteurization. This is the wrong option. And the placenta facilitates supply of oxygen and nutrients to embryo. So this is also right option. Facilitate remove of carbon dioxide and waste materials from embryo. Facilitate supply of oxygen and nutrients to embryo. So this is also right option here. So both the options are looking right. And secret estrogen. Secret estrogen. Now we have to find out which one of the fall. Not, here the not. So we have to read very carefully which of the following is not the function of placenta. So this is also right option. Here the B option which is given here, the oxytocin is secreted from the placenta, is the wrong option, is the wrong statement. Now the right answer is here B. Let us check on 14th question. Next question. The first movement of the fetus and appearance of the hair on its head are usually observed during which month of the pregnancy? During the 5th month of the pregnancy. During the 5th month of pregnancy. During the 5th month of pregnancy, we can find the hair on the head of the embryo. So as it got the hair, so it's going to show off. Now it moves its head. Now it moves head like this, right? Now during the 5th month only we can find the hair. So the answer is during this 5th month. So this is the right option. Which extra embryonic membrane in the humans prevent the desiccation of the embryo inside the uterus? Already we have discussed just now. So the amnion. So in between this amniotic layer as well as embryo, we can find a fluid which we call it as amniotic fluid. So it's going to provide the moist medium to the embryo in order to escape from the desiccation of the embryo. So here the desiccation is not happening till there is amniotic fluid around the embryo. So the answer is amnion. The answer is amnion. So primary yolk sac is developed from hypoblast, which is the lower layer of the embryonic disc, right? Korean, already we discussed that one. Which of the following hormones is not a secretion which of the following hormones is not a secretion product of human placenta? So these are the which of the following hormone is not secreted by the placenta. HCG, so this is secreted by the human placenta. So prolactin, which is not at all secreted by this placenta. Estrogen, progesterone, these hormones also secreted by the placenta. Along with these, human placental lactogen. So this hormone also secreted by the placenta. But here the prolactin is not secreted by placenta. Now we'll check here. Yes, during embryonic development, the establishment of polarity along the anterior, posterior, dorsal or ventral or medial or lateral axis is called here during the embryonic development. So generally in the initial stages of cleavage, what happens when the morula is formed? So there are some stem cells are being formed over there. So these stem cells move towards where they have to go and what kind of organs they have to be developed. So they have to be transferred what kind of organs. These movements of these cells, there is a particular word, there is a technical term. So which part, what do we find in the ventral region? We can find our face, eyes, ears and nose, all these things we can find in the ventral region. Whereas in the dorsal region we can find a backbone and all these things we can find in the dorsal region. In the lateral region limbs are going to be formed. So and ears are be in the lateral region. So this is because of the particular organization of cells, right? So at the time of embryonic development, these cells move where to go, where to be settled and what kind of organ systems to be developed from those cells. So this particular process is known as organizer phenomena. Okay, so keep it in the mind and remember it carefully. So actually this was not given in our textbook, it was asked in the 2003. Right, and let us see 118th question. The extra embryonic membranes of the mammalian embryo are derived from. Already we were talked about this one. So at the time of development of embryonic development, we were discussing these things, right? The extra embryonic membranes. So what are the extra embryonic membranes? So extra embryonic membranes are the membranes which wrapped around the embryo, such as amnion, chorion or else yolk sac. So these are the allantoids. So these are all extra embryonic membranes, so which we can come across around the embryo. So these are extra embryonic members. Extra embryonic members are developed from trophoblast cells. So this is the trophoblast. So generally the outermost layer of the blastocyst is known as the trophoblast layer, right? So this is the trophoblast layer, and inside this trophoblast we can find a cell. There is a mass of cells, where this mass of cells or group of cells, they are going to in turn become the embryo. So what about this one, trophoblast? Here in between this trophoblast, as well as in between this embryo, we can find these cells also belongs to trophoblast only. These cells also belongs to trophoblast only. The trophoblast cells which are touching the embryonic cells, so or else group of cells or mass of cells, so we can find here. So these are also belongs to trophoblast cells which are touching the embryonic cells. These are known as Robert's membrane, Robert's membrane, from where the extra embryonic membranes are going to be developed. So Robert's membranes are the cells inside the trophoblast layer. So that is a they are trophoblast cells only. They are trophoblast cells. They are not separate from the trophoblast. They are trophoblast cells which are present inside, as well as they are touching the inner mass of the cells. So this is the inner mass of the cell. They contain the stem cells. They are going to transform into the various organs in the embryo. So the entire embryo is going to be developed from this inner mass cells only. So this is the trophoblast, and these are the Robert's cell mass. These cells are the trophoblast cells only which are touching the inner mass cells. So that is Robert's membrane. From this Robert's membrane, the extra embryonic membranes are going to be developed like this, right? So, but here the Robert's membrane has not been given in the options, so that we have to put the trophoblast only. This is the trophoblast answer, right? Islands is going to be formed. So already we were discussing that. So this particular embryo, we can call it as the embryonic disc, when it is dividing into two layers. One is ectoderm and second one is hypoderm. So ectoderm and hypoderm. Ectoderm is going to generate three kinds of derms. One is epiblast and hypoblast, So in the embryonic disc, this is embryonic disc, we can find two layers here. This is the first layer and this is the underneath layer of that. So this is the top one is epiblast, right? And so underneath of this epiblast we can find hypoblast. In turn, hypoblast turns or transform as primary yolk sac, whereas epiblast is going to be transformed into three derms. One is ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. From the ectoderm, already we were discussing, right? From the ectoderm, part of ear and eye are going to be developed, or derivatives. They are the derivatives from the ectoderms, as well as what is this? The outermost layer of the teeth. So that is enamel. Enamel is going to derive from the ectoderm itself, right? And the nervous system also going to be derived from the ectoderm itself. So there are so many, like pituitary gland, pineal gland, so as well as the epidermis of the skin, hair, nails, all these things are developed from the ectoderm, right? Here we can say that this particular eye lens is going to be developed from the ectoderm, right? And gonads develop from the embryonic. Gonads are going to be developed from mesoderm. Already we were discussing. So gonads are going to be developed from the mesoderm. So from the mesoderm, the reproductive system. So gonads are the parts of the reproductive system, right? So entire reproductive system are going to be developed from the mesoderm, except vagina, as well as the prostate. In case of males, the prostate and vagina are not going to be developed from the mesoderm, but apart of these two parts of the reproductive system, the entire reproductive system is going to be developed or derived from the mesoderm itself. What about these two, vagina and prostate? They are going to be derived from the endoderm, right? There are these two, vagina as well as the prostate. These are the two derivatives of the reproductive system which are from endoderm, right? So these are all about embryonic development, right? And in the next session we are going to see the few previous questions which were asked from the topic parturition and lactation, right? This is our today's session. We'll meet you in the next session. Till next session, have a great day.